Okay, I think I'm live now. Yeah, now it starts. Hello, everyone. I Hello, everyone. Oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. It feels like hello. It feels like I'm standing in front of a lot of people. I'm sitting here alone on my terrace. My name is Christina Radics, and I'm originally from Sweden. I was born there. My mother is from Greece, my father from Hungary, and that's why I look Mediterranean. And I have 3 children. I'm married to Daniel, and we have 2 dogs. I studied dentistry in Sweden from 2000 to 2005, and then we went to Spain, and I worked at the clinic during all these years, and I also became the owner, and I went through 2 periods of burnout, and that made me rethink my career and modify my career. So I became a coach to help dentists or dental professionals and even people outside dentistry when they want to make a change or they have a challenge. Or yes, coaching can be about anything, but especially I'm helping dentists also who are going through burnout and need a change. So today we have a very special guest, but I will tell you why I'm doing these podcast shows. I am doing them because tomorrow my book will be out on Amazon. It's my story, and I was thinking I want to tell my story, but I also want to hear other people's stories, because we can learn from every person that we meet and speak to, because each person sees life through their glasses, and we need to hear other people's experiences to be able to understand other perspectives. There is no right, there is no wrong. We can just learn from each other and try to understand and help each other to have a happier and easier life. So today we have a special guest. It's Melissa. She wrote to me one day here on Instagram when I think I wrote something about the book, or I wrote something about burnout, and she reached out to me, and I knew that I had to speak with her and hear her story, and that's why she's here with us today. So I will see here if I will. Here, I hope I did the right thing. Yeah. Hello. Hello. It's the first time we meet.
Such an honor, and I have to say congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you so much. And I have to say, it was already finished in October, but then I was like, I entered this feeling like, should I, will they want to read it? And I heard more stories, and I was like, what is wrong? What is right? But then I thought, no, this is my story. And that's why I want to hear other people's stories as well. But
yes, I hear that happens with writing your story. It's so vulnerable, and to put it out there is scary. And I'm so glad you persevered through that resistance, because from the chapter that I read, the first chapter, your message is so needed.
Oh, thank you.
And I know it's going to touch a lot in the dental community.
Yes.
And because I know that's affected me in my life very much. And I'm a dental hygienist, been a hygienist for 13 years. I'm originally from Canada, but I lived in Alaska for 16 years. And my husband, he was a dentist, and he owned his own practice for 15 years. So I know I walked alongside with him in those, the struggles, the kind of, I always call it now, the dark side of dentistry that not a lot of people talk about, and you approaching burnouts. And in the dental community, I think it needs to have a voice.
Yes.
It definitely needs to have a voice. I've seen the rippling effects of pouring your heart into dentistry, but there's so much hard. My husband died by suicide 2 years ago, and it was truly a shock to our community and to everyone. Our kids were only 6 and 8 at the time, and I can't describe the pain and the just so much. He had so much love all around him, and it just breaks my heart that he was so much in that dark, couldn't see that community around him. So after that, I definitely felt strongly to use my voice. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. Many people.
Did that happen immediately after, or did it take a time to?
No, I almost like immediately, I felt so strongly. I remember people asking me, what should we say? How he died? I said, by suicide. And I said, I'm not going to stay quiet. It's going to be more harmful. People need to be aware, because it was such a shock, in the grand scheme of things. He was this beautiful man, 6'4", and big smile, and happy. He loved dentistry. He really, really did. He was very skilled at it and could hide it very well. And I wish I had the signs leading up to it, but we had the most magical day the day before. So that's why I felt very strongly, no, I need to speak up about this, because too many are hiding in that darkness and afraid to talk about it, to burden other people.
Yes. And I think also we hide it from ourselves.
Yes.
It's
yes.
But looking back, were there something that you, like, for example, signs like loss of memory, like, were there things that you can share with the listeners?
Absolutely. Now I can see clearly kind of that progression, and a lot of it came down to so much suppression over the years of the feelings, even suppression from early childhood, and that numbing, and also I would see him because he had to work so much to keep the office afloat, and the pressures. His back's physical pain started showing up, and unfortunately, with the modern medicine, the one thing the doctors reach for is opioids, right? So it to numb that pain instead of slowing down, because you feel so needed to keep that office going. So I did see those signs of numbing that pain so he can go to work. And that came to a rippling effect of using opioids and to be able to work. And it started to affect his, it definitely changed him. It definitely changed him. He did seem in control at times, because we see a lot of patients that are on pain medication, and chronic pain is really hard to live with. But it started, instead of digging into maybe taking some time off or really looking into himself, taking the time to heal what was going on inside. That was really hard for him to do. I did see he did have it was like a ripple effect. His dad was terminally ill with cancer, and he was diagnosed about a year prior to his death. And I know that took a big toll on him too. The drinking came more of a regular occurrence. So I did see, these little things that the numbing agents came into his life because it was so hard to face the pain and all the pictures. So those were the signs. But I would work with him too, and we would have fun, we would enjoy it, and I could tell he really liked his patients, and being of service was a big thing for him. He gave away a lot of his dentistry and wanted to help others. I think that was I don't know, it's so hard to see all the signs, but I think the numbing agents was the biggest one. Just kind of keep persevering through work instead of taking the time from work. And finding that balance.
That's the biggest struggle. We have to find that balance. What do you think? What change would you like to see in dental school or in dentistry?
In dental school, definitely an awareness of burnout, and also that the pressures you can't do it alone, to find a community of dentists, because I do remember my husband, once he did join a community dentistry, he felt more alive. He was able to share his passion, and they really they had this WhatsApp group, and they would chat and share knowledge, and that really ignited that fire for dentistry again. Having that support group. But being aware that maybe not doing it all alone, and also creating tools to take care of their own body, because physically, dentistry, my husband in the beginning worked 5 to 6 days a week. You're going to hit burnout. And 3
it's not sustainable.
It's not. No. But he did that for 15 years plus. And so just to maybe start slow. I know they have huge student loans, though. I know that. And and that's the huge pressure. To start working a lot. I think just bring awareness that the money, you'll be in a lot of debt, but don't work yourself to 5, 6 days a week, and maybe collaborate with other dentists. Don't do it alone. I also, in my book, I do say maybe have a dental helpline. How there's the suicide hotline, but I truly feel that we should have just a separate one for dentistry, because then you can have someone that really relates to the profession. And I thought that it could be maybe retired dentists that could be on the other line.
It could be me sitting there.
Yes, exactly.
And you.
To just be a listening ear to that understands the industry. Because there are a lot of people now that I have been talking about that, they're like, I didn't realize it was so hard for dentists.
No.
I was like, but everybody comes in and say, I hate you.
I hate you. We get so used to it, and we understand it, but that is also something we have to start to speak about. What happens to a person who hears that over and over again, and gets that accumulation year after year?
Because you feel so bad every time. You're like, and you take on their fear too. There's so much fear and negative energy when they come in. I would hear it every day, and
I'm very affected of energy. I feel it immediately. Like, you just writing to me, I was like, I felt your energy. I could feel
Yeah.
your energy all the way from our center.
I'm
You
the
know?
same way. That's why it's so important who I'm around with.
Yeah, for me, it's super important. So I think I absorbed all that energy every day. And it's not the patient's fault. They are afraid, but
Yeah.
absorbing that every day affects you. So how did you feel? Because I'm trying to figure out and see a pattern in the dentists who are more affected
Mhm.
by this. So your husband, when he was home, was he continuing speaking about
Yes.
dentistry?
Yes. Work was always following us. We would go on the weekend because his phone number was the emergency. You know, you call the office, you can call him directly.
Yeah.
And so we would be camping, all summer long, and it's nonstop. Or we would go away. We did have associates, but we would go away, but Scott was still the number one head man. So we would be on vacation, and if something
Yeah.
always goes wrong.
Yeah.
Something
And
always
it's
goes wrong.
typical when you are on
Yeah.
vacation, when
Yes.
you think like, now I'm going to
Yes.
not think about dentistry, something is happening. It's like,
Something is happening,
yeah.
and there's always something you bring at home.
Mm,
There's every weekend. I know there was an emergency. Every weekend
yeah.
there's something with the office. For a long time, I would say we definitely become an associate.
Yeah.
I kept on saying, let's sell, let's move, because we were in Alaska. We were also fighting so much darkness there. The weather really
Mm,
affected us there
mm,
as well.
mm.
I said, let's move, and you can become an associate and whatnot. But it's hard, I guess, too, when it's your baby, and you've had it
Yeah.
for so
Yeah.
long, and to kind of let that go.
Yeah.
I think that was really, really hard for him. And I think just bring that awareness of, yeah, how to deal with the patients, just the emotional intelligence, and protecting yourself when you go into
Yeah.
work from all these energies, and asking for help, be part of a community. Can't do it alone.
No.
I think a lot of dentists are obviously very smart, very type A, and
Yeah.
they just go getter.
Yeah.
And my husband, I always called him the Superman. He really
Yeah.
wanted to do it all and
Yeah.
strong for
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a typical, yeah, personality trait. I don't know. Have you read the book, Tim Cantifer, the Depressive Illness, The Curse of the Strong? He speaks about
No.
9, and I wanted to bring the book here, but I have to bring it to the next podcast we're doing
Okay.
when your book is out. So
Yes,
we will
yes,
do another one.
yes.
So, but when a person comes into his practice, he says, before they start to speak, he says, I know you have these personality characteristics. So it's the same ones. It's people who value, they have very high work moral. They value themselves through what other people think and say, uh, and they don't really, they can't stop. We can't, we don't know when to stop. We just
Yes.
want this perfection and make people happy. So it's really nice personality characteristics, but you have to be able to control them. And that is something I feel personally that we have to teach the dental students. Or I even wonder, can we teach every person? Can every person become a dentist and stay healthy in the dentistry? What do you think?
Yes. Oh, I agree. I think it definitely would make such an impact to teach everybody, to teach everybody in dentistry, bring it out, because this will give them the tools to conquer kind of that day and the emotional that happens. And a lot of dentists too, sometimes I find they feel kind of stuck, in dentistry once it gets so hard, because now you have all these student loans, you've got your office. So
Yeah,
once you do feel maybe this is not, you need a break. Well, how do you take a break? You have such
yeah,
an overhead.
yeah,
So I do feel to bring that awareness would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Give them these tools. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. And I even wonder, I don't know if I will get people will criticize what I'm writing in the book, but I'm even thinking like maybe there are personality that are not feeling well in dentistry. Like
Yes.
I speak about myself. Maybe I'm too soft. Maybe I'm too sensitive to be able to
Yeah.
even learn these
Mhm.
skills. I don't know.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think you know, in our circle of friends, a lot of dentists, I hear them. A lot of them are ready to get out, but they feel like incredibly stuck.
Yeah.
And it feels like they don't have a choice. They have to wait till retirement. And because they do feel so much, I think when somebody opens their mouth, you know, you're taking on everything
Yeah.
that that's going
Yeah.
on in them.
Yeah.
And if you are, you know, so sensitive to that, like an empath, you're going to take that on. And it's
Yeah.
going to wear on you over time.
Yeah.
And so creating that shield, it would be really important.
Yeah.
And being okay with saying, you know what, this might not be for me anymore,
Yes.
and find a different path. But I think that's really scary for
Yes.
most. Yes, there's a lot of debt,
Yeah.
you know, there's
I'm
overhead.
mentioning that in the book that so because I remember the day when my husband said, but when I was in a bad place, and he said, but sell the clinic then. And I looked at him and I said, is that an option? I couldn't even see that that was an option
Yeah.
because you feel that you will die with that clinic. Like you will have it until you stop
Yes.
drilling. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
see another way, but there is always another way.
That's
But then,
absolutely.
but then there are like I saw my best friend. We studied together, and in one way we are similar, but in other ways we are totally different. And she's very good with her boundaries. She works in her clinic 3 days a week. If somebody calls her 5 minutes after she has stopped working, she's like, I don't know what the tooth is, call me tomorrow. And and she still loves it. She's still passionate about it. And so I think that the boundaries are super important.
Yes, yes. I love that you say that because I think it's hard to have those boundaries because I would discuss that with my husband. I say,
Yeah,
well, just don't like turn off your phone. But he feels so much for his
yeah,
patient.
yeah.
And he's like, well, I can't just let him go. He's in so much pain. Or we would have to go
I
for an
know.
emergency. We go in on
Mm,
weekends or
mm,
somebody's hurting and we just open a clinic, you know, and so yes, I think having those boundaries would be a
yeah,
big factor for
yeah, yeah,
yourself, you know. But
yeah,
it's so hard when you feel, oh, they're in pain or they
yeah.
need me or the office and also the overhead, you know, that also keeps people there
Yes,
going.
yes. So tell me about your book.
Oh, well, it's the truth behind the smiles is the title. And the
I love that.
reason, yes, and the reason why I picked that is because, you know, my husband and I, of course, we would smile a lot, you know, and we big smiles, and we never wanted to bring anyone, you know, down or anything. And it
No.
just happy, and I mean, ultimately we are, but there was so much pain inside that we just kept to ourselves. I know for my
Yeah.
husband, you know, and it's from childhood, you know, that's why I talk about suppression so much. My book is about the suppression from a young age, how it will show up in adulthood, and it
Mm.
will keep coming to,
Yeah.
you know, to you.
Yeah.
And what will happen then, it'll show up in chronic illness,
Mm.
or it'll show up in self-destruction.
Yeah.
So what I talk about as well is that I see the progression of that suppression or the numbing agents for my husband to not feel, and how it spiraled into just completely changing his mind. You know, by the last year, I did not even recognize who my husband was anymore. And it was so hard because I know who he was. You
Yeah.
know, I was with him for over 15 years and I loved who he was.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was losing him. And so I talk about how suppression will show up in your life, and you really have to start making space to hear you reconnecting with yourself,
Mm.
and stop taking the numbing agents out,
Yeah.
because that's how you're going to truly heal.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree. I totally
yes.
agree. I'm entering that subject a little bit in the book as well, because I realized before I made the change in my profession, I got a coach, I got a therapist. It was like I have to understand, why was I a perfectionist? Why was I this people pleaser? Why can't I set the boundaries?
Mhm.
I didn't even know, who am I? What do I like? Because I just adapted to everything. And then you realize, with professional help, that it comes from your childhood. It's not to criticize. I think every parent tries to do their best, but we have this baggage, that these patterns from our childhood, that we have to change. So,
Yes, I agree. I
but
completely
we don't know
agree.
that.
Yes, I know we don't, but I love that now we live in an era that we are more open to talk about,
Yeah,
counseling, and there's there's a variety of somatics that you can do for therapy now.
yeah,
I've tried parts work, I've dove in to all the modalities afterwards, because I know when my husband passed at the hospital, they told me I was frantic to find help for my kids. And they said, no, you will need the help first, because you're going to be the
yeah,
guardian.
yeah,
And I remember being put through a breathwork session, and I really calmed down my nervous system and
yeah,
everything. And that's
yeah,
how I just dove into all the modalities of healing, inner child work and going back to my
yeah,
pattern,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And it's
and
so important. We hear these things. Oh, something. We hear these things, but I mean, we have heard about meditation, mindfulness, but it's now I really understand what it's all about. So now I meditate every day when I feel like I'm a little bit out of balance. I'm like, I have to meditate. I say to my husband, I'm just going to meditate for 20
yes,
minutes. And then it feels
I,
like, oh, it
that's what I
it
do.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so helpful. It
It
just,
is. It
but you
is. It is
have to
so
give it
helpful.
a chance. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I dove into all the healing modalities, and for my children as well. There was, and they saw a counselor. We saw sound healing has been great. We just kind of dove into everything, because I
yeah,
figure at this
yeah.
point,
Sound healing is really,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I was I was on a session, and South Hill, and I think every person we meet, and everything we are going through, has some kind of a meaning. Like, we sit here because we have to help preventing other people to go through.
Yes, absolutely.
So so when I was in, like, entering, no, no, I was entering my I was starting to become a coach. I went on this meditation with sound bath, and I
Mm.
cried and I cried and I couldn't stop crying. I was like, they will think I'm crazy. But something happened. It released so many things.
Yes.
So
I
I can
could
really
really
recommend that.
resonate with that. I go on a week once I move. I'm in Arizona now, in Gilbert, and now I go weekly to this place called Reconnect Mind Body, and it's the cold plunging, and it's the
Oh
sauna, the red
yeah,
light
I saw
therapy.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah, and
saw
it's
when you
been
were
my
ending.
healing
Oh my
home
gosh.
for my kids
Yeah,
too, though. And
yeah,
and then I go to breath work, because it is just to quiet the mind and
yeah,
quiet, because I was just on a fight and flight, I couldn't sleep,
yeah,
and I was just
yeah,
and my kids, and just to be healthy for my kids.
Yeah.
They deserved a healthy mom as well. And so I just kind of dove into all
Yes.
the modalities for them
Yes.
and seeing counseling. And I think I just have to see it as I have to use my
Yes.
voice uh, before, and all the resources that are out there. So
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
learn enough as I go along, because
Yeah.
I feel, and also, unfortunately, after my husband passed, I had so many of our dental friends in a dental community reach out and tell me their close call of dying by suicide as well. And that really hit me hard. I didn't know. I had no clue. I would have never known. And I felt honored that they shared
Yeah.
that they almost,
Yeah.
died as well. And so I've been kind of connected with them and seeing what, worked for them, and making that space to heal and
Yeah.
using my voice. And they're all wanting me to share the message, because there's so many people. We just lost somebody 2 weeks ago, again, in the dental community here.
Oh,
And so I think it is important to talk about it, as hard as a subject as that
yeah.
is. Uh, but we can't leave dentists hurting alone, and have a voice, and for them to be comfortable to say, I need help.
Yeah.
And there's a community out there for them, because I feel, as much as feel probably people like, oh, we're better off without them, is not. There's a bigger purpose for that darkness.
Yes.
I really do feel that across that dark, but you can't do it alone.
No.
So yeah,
It's
can't
so
do it alone.
important. It's so important to speak about it,
Hmm.
because I don't know how you feel, but sometimes it's like I have lost a close cousin to suicide as well. And I remember I was in the beginning, I was like, I will speak about her a lot, but I realized sometimes I'm not speaking about it for other
Yeah.
people's, like I don't want to put them in a difficult situation. And so what what
I
experience?
have felt that, but the more that I found that I do speak about it, because of
Mm,
course, actually, after I moved from Alaska to Arizona, I just couldn't do the darkness any longer. It was just, for my own mental health, wasn't
yes,
very good to stay
yes.
there anymore. So I moved to the most sunniest place, Arizona.
Totally different.
Completely different, but I knew
Yeah,
nobody here, and it was just all on this intuition of where I needed to be. And I truly feel that, oh, where was I going now? I lost my train of thought, but to really listen. Gosh,
yeah,
I lost my train
yeah,
of
yeah.
thought.
To speak
Oh,
about
to
suicide.
speak about
Yeah,
suicide, yes.
yeah,
Then I wanted to shut down from the world.
yeah,
Once I moved here, I really wanted to disconnect. I turned off social media, everything, and I
yeah,
wanted to disconnect, because I needed to just heal. So many people wanted to support, and I love that,
yeah,
but I almost needed to disconnect a little bit
yeah,
and look within. But then once I started sharing more and more to some people here, I started seeing more people are open to sharing their struggles and
mm,
open. So then when I went, somebody said, "Oh, you need to write a book," and it just kind of ignited a little bit, like, "Oh, okay." I was thinking maybe 20 years down the road, but no, it must be now.
yeah,
And I started writing, and my publisher, Kira Brinton, I love her so much, how we got aligned. She was like, you're going to have to get back on social media and not see it as a bad thing, but seeing
yeah,
it as a free place to share your message and possibly save
yeah,
one life.
yeah,
And that's been my driving range right now, to save a life.
yeah,
And on the sidelines, I've had a lot of people reach out in their own struggles, and how being open and using my voice
yeah,
has allowed them to feel comfortable to share their battles. And so that's what drives me now. I have my, cheering team on the
yeah,
sideline, and and that's keeping me hope, and my kids too, because I think for being of service is so
yeah,
healing for my
yeah,
family.
yeah,
Like, my kids being able to be open and sharing their struggles and
Yeah.
possibly helping others brings them, love
Yeah.
and support,
I
and
think that's the
ultimately,
best way, the best
yeah,
healing and the best way. Yeah.
yeah, to be of service, if it could be just to save even one
Yeah.
life, just to be able to share my story, it's important. And ultimately, I'm also doing it to save my kids' trajectories
Yes.
in life, right?
Yes.
Because
That's
it
wonderful.
was it's so hard for them, and to not have their dad here with us.
Yes. Yes,
And
of course.
so
But
I was
I have to say, for you
yes,
as a mother, it's when I see your videos and photos, I can see the wonderful work you're doing. I can see the happiness, the good vibes this morning, or
yes,
when you
yeah,
were dancing.
yeah.
So you're
There's so
I
much to be grateful for. Like every day,
yeah,
that's my thing. That's why it's Melissa gratitude, because I have so
yes,
much gratitude every day. My beautiful
yes.
children, my mom lives with us now. She was from
Oh,
Canada and she lives with us.
that's
And
wonderful.
we have an amazing community to support us. And so there is hope, and there's hope to
Yes,
bring that light. And
yes,
that's ultimately
always.
the message. Yes. Yeah.
So how
I feel there's a
long have
greater
you lived?
I
Yes,
feel there's a greater purpose sometimes out of that darkness, right? Yeah.
exactly. I totally agree with you. So how long have you lived there now
I've lived in
in
Arizona now
Arizona?
for a little bit over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's been just where I needed to be. The community that I live in is the most loving, family
Wow.
friendly, and inspiring. Everyone knows their names. It says hello.
Yeah,
It's just a
so
really
nice. Wow, so
and
nice.
we walk everywhere, and I love the sunshine and lots of
Yeah.
kids,
So
and it's been wonderful.
wonderful. So have you become better in asking for help? Because
Oh
that is
yes,
an
that was
important
so
thing
hard
that
for
we have to
me.
learn. Yes.
Yes, I was so independent, almost too much
Yeah.
before my husband passed, but I had to be more comfortable about it,
Yeah.
and I am, and making time for me. That was the hardest part, because being a
Mm.
mom and my kids had, separation anxiety after I couldn't leave them, and because they were afraid to lose me as well.
Yeah.
So I had that pressure, but I found that I also needed the space to process the grief. So I started, once I moved here, I had the time, once my mom moved, so I can go either take a little retreat that I've gone
Yeah.
to, and to make that space for myself. And then I
Yes.
come back a better mom. Because
Exactly.
if not, my nervous system was on just high alert, and I could snap, and anger comes in, and it's just
Yes.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I find it now, I don't feel so much guilt when I do take the space, and they're better. They understand it too now.
Exactly. That is something we have to teach the dental students as well, that they have to invest time in themselves. Then they will become better parents, friends,
Yes,
professionals.
absolutely. Sometimes we feel so much guilt because there's so much pressure on us. Sometimes like, oh, I don't have time to go away. Like, for example, how I met my publisher. I booked it a week prior because it was my birthday was coming up, and it was called Ignite the Creator, and I was like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm going. and and it was the best thing. It was all about writing and
Yeah.
expressing and making
Yeah.
space for yourself, and it changed completely my trajectory. Now
Wow.
I've written my book, and I'm in, the just kind of editing and whatnot process, but uh, I, I think, yeah, it's just making that space to quiet the busyness,
Yes.
right? To
Yes.
truly go into your heart and
Into,
your
yeah,
passion.
where the
Yeah.
answers is.
Yeah.
There you will find your answers. So,
Yes.
wow. But and writing a book is also
Yes. Just putting it
healing.
out there. It's
And
so healing.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. I didn't realize how healing, and even some of it I didn't keep in the book, but just to put it out there
Yeah.
was a way to
Yeah.
release. release it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And it has been extremely healing to
yeah,
write this book,
yeah.
and I can't wait to share
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
So when
world.
will
And
it
I can't
be
wait to
out?
read yours.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
said
gosh,
in the
I know.
summer. In the
Yes, this
summer?
summer.
Yeah.
I'm hoping June. June is where I'm kind of
Oh,
shooting for.
so nice.
Uh, we're getting so close. It's
Yeah.
very, very close.
Yeah. So then we will have another podcast
Yes, that would be
when
wonderful.
your book is out.
Yes,
Yes.
and
So
congratulations on yours. I can't wait to. I know
thank
I
you.
read the
Yes,
first chapter.
tomorrow or any hour now. Yeah, it
Woohoo!
feels so
Yeah.
great. Like I said, it's like having a baby, but much easier.
Yeah.
Or less
Definitely.
painful. But then,
But it's so
but
vulnerable too, right?
yeah,
Especially when it's your
yeah,
story. It's so vulnerable,
yeah,
but I think there's something to being vulnerable.
yeah,
People really are wanting more truth
yeah,
and
yeah,
vulnerability. Yeah.
exactly. And by being vulnerable, you see that you open doors to other people, then they get more vulnerable, and
Yes.
they say, yeah, I felt the same. Because one feeling I had that was really horrible when I was in a bad place was that I thought that I was alone. I thought I was the only one. And I remember Googling like dentist wanting to leave, or dentist with anxiety, dentist. And first what comes is patients that feel anxiety to go to the dentist. I'm like, no, the
No other way around.
dentist. Yeah. And then suddenly when I found YouTube videos and found the blog post, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. I'm not weak. I'm not different. So that is what keeps me going
Yeah.
to yeah, I don't want anybody to feel alone, and that there is always a
Yeah.
way out, a way to follow your true values and purpose in life. When you're aligned, when your life is aligned and your work is aligned with your true values and purpose, then the game changes. But when we numb these feelings
Mhm.
and we adapt too much, that is where the dark places
Yeah.
comes in. So
Wow, that's really
so
resonates with me. The numbing. That's yeah,
yeah, the
numbing.
numbing, yeah, and that could
Yes.
be done in so many different ways. But so
Yeah.
now we have already been speaking for
Ah,
40 minutes, and I
I
said 30, but I knew I would
know.
not really be keeping that promise. But as a last thing, is it there something you feel that you want to share?
Oh, I want to share that definitely that if somebody is feeling so much in the dark and they feel they're burdened, I really, really, really want people to know that they're not. They're not a burden to their family, to their loved ones. They way rather them stay, and they'll, find just
Wow.
speak to even one person,
Yes.
speaking one
Yes.
person your truth,
Yes.
and not be afraid of your whole truth, because somebody will be able to handle it. Find someone
Yes.
that's obviously that has probably done some work, and open to hear your message, because there is
Mm.
somebody out there, or even reach out to one of us,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I have seen darkness and how crippling that can
Mm.
be.
Yeah.
It's so crippling.
Yeah.
It's so dark,
It's
and
so
it's
dark.
scary.
Yeah.
And it's so scary, and you do feel alone, and you feel like your family's better off
Yeah.
without you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not better off without my
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
My children are not better off without their father. And yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to bring light to someone that might be feeling like
Yeah.
they're better off. To,
Yeah.
there's hope. You can message me. I'd be happy to
Yeah.
share a
Yeah.
story, and
Yeah.
there's light across there. Usually, that I find people in the dark. There's a bigger purpose across that
Yes.
dark side.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
I feel like there's
I
just
totally agree.
that dark side is
Mm,
really pushing
mm, mm,
to put them down
mm,
because there's a big purpose for
mm,
them. So I want you
mm.
to fight hard
Yeah,
because I know there's a
yeah,
bigger purpose. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that really
Yeah.
resonates with me, and people need to hear that. And thank
Yes.
you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for
Thank
reaching.
you.
Thank you so much for reaching
Oh, I'm
out to
so
me
glad I just
with a
really connected.
message. Yeah, really. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I need to come
And
to Spain now.
yeah, you come to Spain,
Yeah.
will come to you.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
we keep in touch.
Yes,
And for
absolutely.
all of you who has been listening to us, we are here. Melissa is here. I am here, and nobody is alone. And we all have a purpose here.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Thank you for the
much.
opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thank
keep
you.
in touch.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Mhm. Okay, so I will try. Thank you, everyone.